you so much to each of our speakers. And we really do hate to contain on time, but it's because we want to try to value multiple perspectives. So Shaheen, thank you so much for being here, for sharing, and for the great work that you are leading. We went over time a little bit in this session, and so I think it is time for a coffee break, but it needs to be a working coffee break if we're going to live up to the rhetoric of action-focused. And so with that smorgasbord of ideas that we've just had, we're going to go out into a 20-minute coffee break. But I need you to think about what's the conversation that you want to pursue on this break. So if you have money, if you're an investor, whether impact investing or for-profit, who do you need to speak to in this room to scale up other types of training and certification? If you are in a social sector, the time is going off on me now. If you're in the social sector and you think, what I love about what Teach for India is they prove the model first. It takes time to prove the model, even though there's urgency. But you prove it with 500, and then you work out how to scale. Are there questions and areas you want to engage with of how you could bring Teach for India in their scale-up into your region, for example? Are there people here who's a practitioner here? Who's a practitioner in a school? Hands up. We need you to be discussing how you could be training schools, how each of you could be having at least 5 teachers who come back from your very best schools, to come back to train as a teacher, building a partnership with the university where they do more and more of their academic work, but they're in your school. And I'll finish with this. I left school and I was a medical student. Can you imagine how proud my parents were? And at the end of that year, I thought I really want to be a teacher. We didn't have Teach for India or Teach for Australia at that time. And I remember having the conversation with my parents, and you can imagine how that discussion went at dinner time. When I said, I'm leaving medicine, they said, oh, do you want to be a lawyer like your brother? No, no, no. Oh, business is it, Simon? No, no, I want to teach. And so I went back, and my principal said, you're not crazy. Everyone else might think you're crazy, but come back and work here from now. And I trained in the school whilst doing my academic work. There are many opportunities for us not to solve the whole thing, but to find an actionable initiative that you can drive, prove, or scale. And you've got 20 minutes with coffee to start thinking about it. Can we have a very warm round of applause for the wonderful people who've contributed? We're going to have far more open discussion, but we do need to have a break. We will start on the dot of 10 to 12 for our next session. Thank you so much. Identified that the key thing that she will need is for a university to be in partnership in order to certify the training. So she's doing good quality training. She holds it to a high standard, but now she'll need a university partner. So today she might be talking to you, and you need to be thinking, who do you know in a university, whether at a moderate university who would be open to such partnerships? Could you send an email today? Could you introduce them today? We need to solve each other's key challenges. When RTE comes in and everyone's going to need a certification through a university, the universities cannot expand their offering quick enough. But they could partner with only good quality private providers to have that happen. They're the kind of connections we need. So every connection, I need you to be thinking, we've got technology partners in the room, we've got private equity partners in the room. How do I use these connections to drive learning? What we're going to do for about the next 20 minutes to half an hour is to have our lab time to think through the challenges and the solutions. What we'd like is for you to focus in your groups, moving rapidly past the common understanding of the problems and coming in on very specific, tangible solutions. So in your group, what I'd like you to do is we're just going to have someone lead the discussion. So would everyone mind, if it's okay, just pointing to the sky like this? Just point to the sky. Please do that for me. It's not primary school, I know. And if it's okay, just have one finger to the sky. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to democratically elect a facilitator. And you do that by everybody bringing their arms down quickly and moving their hands until everyone's pointing to one person. Do that for me now. All right. I hope we have one now. Here's what will happen. That facilitator, just like our wonderful timekeepers, must drive us with focus. You're all passionate, so you'll have conversation creep. We don't need you to prove that you're intelligent. We already know you are. That's why you're invited. You don't have to prove you're an expert by speaking what's in the group. We already know you're an expert. That's why you're at the table. The facilitator's role is to try to help the discussion focus only about new ideas, not about the problem. Pick whether it's attraction, pre-training, ongoing development, or retention, perhaps, and drive in and trying to say, what would we do considering? And you might choose 2 or 3, depending on who's at the table. So one of you might be a practitioner. Could we talk about how I could start training teachers in my school and be a training teacher school? What would I need to do for that? If you are a social enterprise, think about if you do have relevance to teacher training, how will you scale up? What do you need? If you're in policy or in other areas, if you're at Pearson, if you're at Google, if you're at Microsoft, I need you to be thinking and bringing what could we do? Specific, tangible, certain cities or certain schools. Make sense? So what you will do, the facilitator will take 5 minutes to share, brainstorm all the ideas. I need someone to capture them. Every table has their own board. After 5 minutes, I will say prioritize 2 areas to work on. And when you're working on those areas for 15 minutes, and we'll report back. Anyone have any clarifying questions? So the first thing, facilitators, take 5 minutes for people to share their best ideas that they think they might like to work on. And then each group will just choose 1 or 2 to work on. But right now, board next to the table, as we move through this lab, we may well ask more questions and solutions. But what I wanted to do is just to give some examples of the perhaps small but very focused initiatives that people are starting to think as we move from big questions to our own expertise in organizations to then what we might try to do. So, Avita, I wanted to offer you an opportunity to share what you've been thinking.
Before I share my thoughts, I would like to ask Rama. Rama told me during the break that she has some ideas of her institute tying up or partnering with Shaheen's Teach for India and maybe, getting to learn some messages from Teach for India and the success of Teach for India, and can we get some lessons from there? I think that's an excellent way forward. Rama, would you like to say something about that?
Just over coffee, we said we're going to meet. Can we take
Yes. So we have Maya and Rama and Abha and Shaheen. I think the group, the provocateurs coming together, and I think the best thing that's happening is that we're all in the same room discussing, getting together and looking at the way forward. I think that's an excellent breakthrough that we've been able to achieve. Coming back to my own experience as a practitioner, we all have, there is a pain point, it's common to all our schools of, not having teachers, and it's not just in the rural sector, it's even in the metros, in the best of schools where we have teacher issues with regard to teacher availability. And one thing that we found very heartening is that some of our old students have started coming back to school, and based on their availability, whether they're doing a full-time teaching assignment with us or doing a part-time, or they're between 2 courses or between jobs, and they're coming back and teaching students in our school. Now it's been happening on an ad hoc basis. Whenever they feel they have the convenience based on their convenience. But we want to, and I think today maybe that's a step that I would like to maybe offer to take, maybe regularize this kind of an ad hoc program into something more structured, where we could offer a fellowship to our students, an internship to our students. They come back, we handhold them, and when I was in discussion with Simon, another thought that came up was that maybe I could send my students to a school in Delhi, and a Delhi school could send to Mumbai, to a school in Mumbai, and we have this exchange of teacher trainers or intern students training with schools and teaching. I think that's something that I would like to maybe take forward.